Hello, friends. Hi, I'm Maggie Ostara, and I'm a sovereignty mentor and a human design expert. And in these videos, I like to share the human design perspective on what's happening for us astrologically. This is one of the types of videos that I do. I also have a deep library of human design education. So if you are new to human design, you want to find out more about the fundamentals, I do encourage you to go check out my channel because there's like a lot, over 600 videos there, and many of them are in human design education. And today I want to share with you about something that every astrologer on the planet is talking about right now, which is Barbau's basket. It's a particular alignment that is happening with the outer planets and Jupiter. It's extremely rare. It's extremely powerful. I'm not going to try to do what the astrologers do. There's many people out there sharing their views about that. But I want to give you a little bit of an update on a video that I did in January called the Magic Triangle. Because now we have the Magic Triangle and Jupiter is coming in to activate the Magic Triangle even more. So I want to dive into that and share with you a little bit about how you might look at this with human design, how you might work with it, and what really is the potential significance of this and how you can really learn to make the most of it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Before I get into the particulars, I want to make a couple of announcements. This month, because there is so much intensity and so much potentiality in what's happening this month, I want to try something new, which is to offer a couple of conversations, community conversations, one about the transits that are happening. And this would be an opportunity for you to bring your human design chart. You can bring your astrology chart, and we can take a look at what's happening in the cosmos and how that could be influencing you. So this would be not so much me teaching about this as really working with you to see what matters for you. And then later in the month, do more of a human design chart conversation where you could bring a question that you have about your human design chart, and we can dive into that together. So this is something you will need to register for. It will be free. I will put the link down below where you can just register your interest in that. So those live conversations will be happening on July 9th and on the 23rd. Those are both Thursdays. And if you can't make it live, I will make the replay available to you, because a lot of times, even listening to other people's questions and hearing how I might respond to them can be really beneficial for you as well. So that'll be coming up next week, and then 2 weeks after that. And if this is something, there's a lot of interest for this, then I will continue to offer these, because I want to connect more with those of you who are here as my subscribers and viewers on YouTube, and to provide more insights for you about what's really happening for us during this really potent time here on planet Earth. So I've been listening to many different astrologers talk about what is happening here in the month of July. And what I'm finding is that there's a lot of many different opinions, some of them that contradict each other. For some people, they're saying that this is the most auspicious time practically ever that we have ever seen, that this is the beginning of a whole new world age, that we are stepping into a new phase of enlightenment, the beginning of the golden age. And there are others that are saying, well, not necessarily. Maybe the sextiles are kind of weak, and maybe the opposition between Pluto and Jupiter is going to blow up, and we're going to see an escalation of war. And then there's other people who are more focused on, Mars and it being conjunct with Uranus and Gemini, and that can be incendiary. So I'm just saying this because there are always many opinions kind of about anything, right? And we're living in a time where there is so much information coming at us all the time. And it's really important, in my view, that all of us learn how to discern our own truths, because what we see is not consensus at all. In fact, we're seeing more and more fragmentation and more polarization and more extreme differences of reality, really. So I just want to say to you when we dive in today that it's really important for you as you're really viewing any information that is coming to you from any of the astrologers, from any of the channels, certainly from the media, from social media, from other people, and to grow your own ability to feel what is right for you and what is true for you. Not with your head, not with your analytical mind, right? But really with your heart and with your body, your felt sense, your nervous system's ability to discern what is true. So I'm going to share with you what I think is a very optimistic point of view, because I am optimistic. I am optimistic about where we are on the planet right now, about what is the potential that we have, even in the midst of devastation, both from earth changes and from human behavior. There's massive suffering going on around the planet in many, many locations for many, many different reasons. And yet in the midst of that, there are seeds that are sprouting of something that is really new. So I tend to want to give my attention to those seeds that are sprouting rather than to the things that are really devastating that I can't do anything about other than energetic activism, which I do all the time, which is about helping to raise the frequency of myself, of the people that come to work with me, and of our planet ultimately. So with that as a kind of introduction, I also want to say that what is going to be happening here in July with this particular configuration is not just a moment in time. Yes, there is a couple of day period. I think it's a 3-day period where the alignments really lock in exactly, but that is not the turning point for everything, right? Some people are talking about it or thinking about it that way. And this is one of the pitfalls that people can fall into with astrology and with human design, which is to think, this day everything changes, or this day is the thing, right? But it's more accurate to think about it as these are seed points for something that continues for a long time. So for example, our new moons, the energy of the new moon continues to the energy of the full moon. And then the full moon, sometimes the energy continues for months afterwards. And then we have the equinoxes and the solstices. They initiate the energy for the entire season that is coming next, right? And so we have cycles that are happening, and this particular configuration has been cycling and cycling and cycling through, and there will be another opportunity next summer as well. Well, they'll be locking in at a different degree, and they were close to that last summer. So just to say that we're in cycles that are kind of dynamic. They're moving, they come together, they move apart, they create different sacred geometry, and then they move into something else, and then they come back again. And so this is an ongoing process. And the same thing happens with the prophecy of 2027, which is part of the lore of human design, which has to do with the precession of the equinoxes and the changes of what we call the background frequencies that the incarnation crosses provide. And without knowing any of the technical details of that, I just want to say, yes, there is a prophecy that even the human design chart is changing, and that we're moving into a very different time, from more tribal energy to more individual energy. But that isn't something that it just happens in February of 2027. It's something that has been going on for already decades and is going to continue for decades. I know Karen Curry Parker just recently did a masterclass about this, and she was, very accurately saying that a lot of these changes started over 100 years ago and will continue for another 100 years. So it's important for us to hold some of this intention lightly, in the sense that these are seed points, and then it's really up to us to what we do with them. Right? Because just because these things happen astrologically, and just because we get certain definition happening in the human design chart, it's like, what do we do with this? It all depends on our participation and our active working with things, being aware, paying attention to, am I in the shadow expression of this particular energy, right? Or am I really moving into an empowered and awakened expression of it? Or am I falling into victimhood around this? So there's many different ways that these energies can manifest. And the difference is your intention, your own frequency, whether you're holding a lot of fear, if you're coming to things from anxiety and from fearfulness, or from outrage and from anger, right? Those really strong emotions inhibit your ability to get clear inner guidance. And that it will stand in the way of your ability to really work with any of the human design or astrological alignments. So you've heard me, if you've been with me for a while, you've been hearing me talk over and over again about the significance of being able to open up our own inner guidance. And this is what I was talking about earlier, about being able to know in your own body, in your own felt sense, what is true for you and what is not. It's really important. So as we move into all of these different changes and stages, being able to learn how to manage and work with our emotions, not suppress them, not repress them, but to be able to work with them so that we can release the energy that needs to go so it flows and we keep the gift that they brought us, and then we can continue to move forward. So I first want to show you the chart for the July 19th through the 21st. It's really, I pulled it for the 19th, but it's very similar through those few days, and it's not going to shift what's happening with these big outer planets. And you can see here on this chart that this particular alignment really has to do with the three outer planets, and then Jupiter is going to join them. The other three planets have been coming in and out of this alignment, but Jupiter is kind of a new factor that's coming in. So if you want to take a screenshot of the chart here so that you have it, you can refer to it later on, and you can kind of see what definition might this be bringing you. Then I want to show you what the mandala looks like, because remember, the human design mandala is the equivalent of the astrological wheel, right? And so I located all of the planets that are part of this particular configuration to give you the gates, and to give you the lines of the gates, and to show you where they are in the mandala. So you can see that we have Pluto and Neptune and Uranus, and they have been creating something called this magic triangle. And I did do a video, like I said earlier, in January about this. And the thing I want to name here is that it has a quality of energy that is similar to the energy that we had in the mid-60s. And the reason I want to bring it up here is that the 60s, especially 1965, 66, were a seed point for what happened ever since, really. That was the last time that we had the year of the fire horse, 60 years ago. It was really this seed point that started massive changes all across the planet. After about 10, 15 years, we started to get a big backlash. We've been kind of navigating that backlash, the moving forward and the backlash, really ever since. But there was a huge blossoming of counterculture at that time. There was a lot of speaking truth to power. There were legislative changes that were done at that time. Of course, we also had a war at that time. We had the draft at that time. We had the Cold War was going on. I mean, it was very dynamic. Many, many different things were happening. And there were also a blossoming, right? Something that came that has stayed with many of us ever since then. And I want to speak to the potential of it, because every single one of us has the ability to participate in creating new culture. So when we look at the mandala here, okay, so we have the three outer planets are on the left side of the mandala, and then we have Jupiter, which is on the lower right. And we can see that Pluto is opposite Jupiter. Pluto is in Aquarius in the gate 41, the gate of imagination. And Jupiter is in Leo in the gate 31, which is known as the new earth leader. That's what I call it. It's often called leadership or democratic leader. And they are opposite each other. Now, in human design, we don't see it necessarily exactly the same way that you might see it in astrology, because we know that the Earth and the Sun are always opposite each other on the human design mandala as they go around, right? So we are used to seeing them that way. Then in the gene keys, Richard Rudd calls these programming partners because they're on the opposite side of the astrological wheel, or the opposite side of the mandala. And they have a potent relationship with each other. I like to think of it as a creative tension. And here we have Pluto, who's the god of the underworld, who has been really asking us to look at what are we doing with our imaginations? Are we allowing our imaginations to be co-opted by media, by social media, by, movies that are about Armageddon and about the apocalypse and about climate change? Not that climate change isn't real, but just to say, all of the devastating things that could be happening, right? Are we allowing ourselves to be pulled into that? Or are we pulling our imaginations back into ourselves, clearing out the old stories, the old ways of thinking about what could happen in the future, so that we can then seed and grow and blossom the vision of the world that we want to live in and we want to leave to future generations. And then that is also stimulating and being stimulated by this gate 31 that Jupiter is lighting up, that is about leadership. And one of the things that leads me to think about is, how can our leaders be more imaginative? How can we allow ourselves to really think outside the box when it comes to being leaders? I talked more about Jupiter moving into Leo in my last transit report, so I'll put the link for that below if you want to go and look at it more. But the thing I want to say here is that really, this kind of leadership, we have the opportunity to do something really different because we do have the stimulation of imagination. One of the things my kids said to me, we were talking about politics the other day, and they were saying, really, they're kind of all in the same camp. They have such a poverty of imagination about what the world could be like. They kind of just keep moving things around, right? Like the world is only this big, instead of going, what else is possible, right? So we need to break out of the ways of thinking that things need to be the same way that they were, and how can we, shore them up and get them to be that way. We need to step into a completely different way of thinking about how things can be, right? And here we have Jupiter, who is just like, yeah, let's light up this gate of leadership. Let's be Leos about it. Let's be, really fiery about it. Let's use our sovereign energy, my I am statement. Let's use the energy of the sun, because of course the sun rules Leo, right? To create a new possibility based in imagination. And we have Neptune still in Aries, slowly moving through Aries, has moved gates into the gate 17, was in the gate 25 for a long time. And the gate 17 is known as opinions or anticipation. And I like to think of Neptune as really bringing light to positive anticipation about what's possible. Because, Neptune really has that great love, right? That Piscean sense of, the great expanse and where all potential is. And so Neptune is bringing that kind of energy into this Aries, fiery, again, very much like Leo, that sovereign I am statement, right? That really I am here and I am here to make stuff happen, right? Is the Aries energy. And Neptune is saying yes, and let us have positive anticipation while we do that. Let us not fall into despair. Let us not fall into outrage. Let us not fuel that war energy, that conflict energy, which is killing our planet, right? When, it's killing our planet and we're killing each other, right? We've got to find a different way to be. So Neptune is really inviting you to take the time to get into your heart, right? Get into that state of potentiality and ask yourself, what positive things could happen? And then ironically, we have Uranus in the gate 20. So the gate 20 is known as patience in quantum human design. So we all know that Uranus is not patient. Although Uranus might be patient waiting for the right time for the lightning bolt, but Uranus is a lightning bolt energy, right? Is what I think of Uranus as, right? It's the great awakener, the sudden change master, the let's stir things up so we can have some change kind of energy. But it's also highly intuitive, absolutely, an ally for us in our freedom and our liberation. And so also galactic, right? All of those energies for Uranus. And Uranus in Gemini is going to be, really speedy and fast, and mentally focused, things, happening quickly. And it's ironic though, because Uranus is in the gate of patience. And so this is an energy of waiting for the right time to take action. So we can hope that Uranus is actually a little bit of a mitigating factor here to say, yes, we need to use our imaginations to create new forms of leadership. We need our leaders to use their imaginations, step outside of the box, do something really different than we've ever done before. And those need to work dynamically together at the right time. When we are fueled, Neptune says, with positive when Neptune says we are fueled with positive anticipation, so that when we do stand in the fire, right, of Aries and Leo, that we will act with integrity, we will act with love, we will act out of the box with great imagination, and we will act at the right times. We'll be patient to know when is the right time. I think a lot of us are in that sense of waiting for the right time. We're seeing things that are happening around in the world, and we're kind of going, holy smokes, what's going to happen next, right? And it's hard sometimes to have positive anticipation. When we see things like the earthquakes that happened in Venezuela, right? When we see things like this wars that are going on, it's hard to have positive anticipation. But this is the reason that you do your spiritual work. This is the reason that you go inside and you touch into your heart and you touch into the infinite and you go into the space of all potentials. Because there, you know that this doesn't have to last. Because when you go there, you can give your life force energy, your love, right, to the future that you want to see manifest in your life, in the life of your family, in the life of your communities, and in the life of our world. So as we come into this dynamic time where the 3 outer planets and Jupiter, the 4 most powerful planets that we have, right, are all going to be activating each other. They're all in a cosmic dance, moving around the mandala, moving around the astrological wheel, activating each other, working together, creating tension, creating possibility, creating a seed point that could be the seed point for the whole new era. We had another seed point back in February where we had Saturn and Neptune come together at 0 point of Aries, right, in the gate 25. That was definitely a seed point. The equinoxes and solstices are seed points. This Barbau's basket is a seed point. Lionsgate, which is coming up on 8/8, is also a seed point. So there's not just one seed point. There are many. And like I said, it doesn't happen in a day. And it happens, the positive happens because we participate and take action that is aligned with the positivity, the new world that works for everyone, right? It's when we give our energy to that we start to bring it into being. So I want to close by reminding you that I would love for you to come to our transit conversation and chart conversation. If you want to ask a question, if you want to listen to other people ask questions, if you want to have a general discussion, because sometimes things do, go into discussion, please do go and register your interest There'll be a comment below this, and it'll also be in the description. And then I will get to see you on the 8th. All right, my friend. Take good care of yourself. Take care of your beloveds. Make sure that you get your feet on the ground. You sit at the base of a tree. You go to the ocean if there's one nearby, or a mountain or a river. And you allow yourself to really bask in the beauty and the loving, compassionate energy of Gaia. And we are all going to get through this together. I really do see a positive future coming, right? I feel it in my own body. I feel it in people that I am spending time with. I'm feeling it every time that I am out with the trees. So I encourage you to, find the environments that help you to feel the same, because that's how you're going to bring it to you. Many, many blessings and much love.